the morning after such a serious incident here in our city on the east side of Charleston. I'm going to define for you in just a moment what a mass shooting is, and that's how we are treating this incident. It's that serious. With me today are Chief Reynolds, and I'm blessed to have with me Reverend Charles McLemore, pastor of the Greater Beard Chapter Chapel AME Church, and Reverend William Swinton with Ebenezer, which is right across the street here. Joe Watson, who is a longtime resident of the East Side. Sheila Fields, who's the new president of the ECDC, that's the East Side Community Development Corporation, and other staff members with me, as well as Councilmember Mike Seekings. Councilmember Mitchell would have been with us, but I think he was out all night long and just got in this morning, so maybe he's still resting up a little bit. I want to thank Reverend Rivers, who's the pastor here at St. John's Church, Matthew Rivers, for inviting us to have this press conference here. It's in the midst of this community and a block away from the incident. He was out of town today, but he's with us in spirit. As I mentioned, there's a group out there. It's called the Gun Violence Archive, and they define a mass shooting as being an incident where 4 or more are shot, either injured or killed. Now, thankfully, we're counting our blessings that no one in this incident was killed, although I'm told 10 were shot and 4 are still in critical condition. So we pray that their lives will be maintained and they will recover. But per that definition, we have here in Charleston a mass shooting. And I know that this is on the top of most everyone's minds in our country today after the horrific shootings, one in Buffalo just weeks ago where 10 people were killed, and of course in Uvalde, Texas, just last week, 21 people killed. So just keeping track like they do, this organization, Gun Violence Archive, of such shootings this year where more than 4 folks were shot. Would you believe there's been 230 mass shootings in America so far this year? Okay, it's May 31st. That's day number 151, and that means there's just over 1.5 mass shootings per day in America. Every 16 hours in our country, there's a mass shooting. Think about that, y'all. Every 16 hours in America, there's a mass shooting. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm angry about it. I'm mad about it. I'm fed up. And I concur with many of our citizens here and across this country that enough is enough. And this entire issue of gun violence has to be addressed in so many ways. And I have a number of action steps that I would like to outline in just a little bit. But first, I do want to call on our police chief, Luther Reynolds, to come forward and share with us some details about the incident last night and the immediate follow-up that Charleston Police Department is engaged with. Chief?
I'm not happy that we're here for this purpose and for this reason, but it's an absolute privilege to be in this city, to be among the neighbors in this community, to be doing important work, to be surrounded by the faith community, by the Eastside District Association, and my esteemed colleagues. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened last night. where we're at today, where we're headed with this. But I will tell you, before I get started, I'll just reiterate what the mayor already said. We have a gun violence problem. And it's not something that we, the police department, can do by ourselves. We have to do it in community. We have to do it in partnership. We have to do it in collaboration with others. And so this is an ongoing process. There's a lot of good things happening, but what happened last night cannot happen again. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and we need to solve it together. Last night, a CPD officer, Charleston Police Department officer, responded for a noise complaint in the area of 41 South Street. And there's a vacant lot there. And there was a lot of people. And there was a loud party, which we had gotten calls for. Immediately, the officer took gunfire. 2 shots went into his cruiser. And let me tell you something, as we stand here right now, we're lucky we don't have a dead cop, or dead citizens, or dead community members. So, as the officer took cover and sought position and notified other officers, several officers responded immediately. Several cars in the area were hit by gunfire. This officer was injured not from the gunfire, but from the shrapnel from the glass that was flying from the gunfire. It hit his arm. He went to the hospital and was treated and released. 4 people are critical, still in the hospital right now as we speak. 10 people overall in total, citizens that were at that party, went to the hospital for gunshot wounds and other related injuries. We have today with us the sheriff's deputies. I want to recognize them. I want to recognize the importance of the mutual aid response that came immediately from the entire Low Country region. I don't know if there was a single agency that was not represented. And the sheriff's department was one of many agencies that came to bring peace, to calm things down, to protect, to serve. That's what we do. That's what the police do. We came in to bring order into the community. And as we were there, the sheriff's deputies were assaulted, and they made 2 arrests. 2 sheriff's deputies. I think we initially said 1. 2 were injured in that melee, in that fight. They're okay. They've been released, and they're going to be okay. But I called the sheriff. I thanked her. I'll tell you, last night, within seconds of this event and these shootings, I got a text from Reggie Burgess, and he said, "We got officers on the way. We're down there now. We got more coming. Whatever you need, we'll help you out. I'm there with you." We're together as a Low Country region, as a community. We work these cases together. We respond together. We help each other. And most importantly, we help our communities. This is an ongoing investigation. The crime scene spanned many blocks, many blocks. So we've been out all night. It happened approximately 11:40 last night, and we've been out, and they're still working it, and they're going to keep working it until we make arrests. And we normally do make arrests, and I want arrests in this case. I want accountability for somebody who wanted to kill one of our cops. To me, that kind of matters. I'm not real happy about that. I'm not happy about what happened in this community, and I'm not happy about what almost happened to one of my police officers. It is not acceptable, this gun violence that continues. So there's a long list of things that were done in the crime scene. There was another individual that was arrested this morning for disorderly. There's a lot of things that we do when we map out an event like this. And again, the mutual aid response was amazing. I'll just end, and I know there'll be lots of questions, and I'll answer questions with the mayor and anybody else up here, by saying this is an amazing, amazing community. The history here, the community members here, the progress that has been made, and there's more progress that needs to be made. And there's been beautification efforts. I see Steve Bailey here. He's led a lot of those efforts with a lot of different people and different community groups. There's been a lot of work with Housing Authority, with our off-duty officers, with outreach with the faith community. And this gun violence problem is very serious. I want to focus today on the victims. the people that were shot, the people in this community. And the victims are not just those people that were shot. It's the people that you see standing around here. It's the kids that have to go to school amongst this trauma and this gun violence that continues. It's the kids. Think about the mothers who've lost their sons. I've met more than one of them. And I say this often, I'll never forget the sound of a wailing mother who has just lost a child. Think about that. If you haven't heard it, it's a very unique sound that will never leave you. Talk to a mother who's lost a child, and they'll tell you one thing: I want justice for my son. And I know many of those mothers. They want justice. They want the shooting to stop. They want the kids to be able to go to school without them worrying about gunfire and bullets coming through their windows, or waking up in the morning and seeing a pool of blood on the sidewalk outside, and scissors and gauze and tourniquets. All the things that we do when we see these events, and we intervene and we save lives. So there will be more arrests. There will be more work. There will be accountability. And there will be more better outcomes as we move into the future. But I will tell you, as a police chief, as a citizen of the city of Charleston, as a partner, as a man in the faith, I've been to this church many times. I love this place. We need to do more together. This outcome last night was not okay. We need to fix that problem, but there's more that needs to be done besides just South Street. That's one of many things that we need to continue to focus on and work on together with our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief mentioned, it's not just South Street. It's not just the east side. It's the city of Charleston. It's our region. It's the United States of America, y'all. And again, I love this place as well. And I don't want to cause any disrespect to my friends, Reverend McLemore and Swinton behind me. And prayers are necessary. Thoughts and prayers are necessary, but they're not enough. We need to pray to God for guidance to give us the action steps to keep this community safe. Some of those will be. I'm going to ask Councilmember Seekings and my other council members to put in place an accountability measure for landlords. There's rental properties like this one on South Street where repeated occurrences have occurred. The landlord needs some accountability and responsibility. And we will bring that, council member, to our next Public Safety Committee meeting. 2, this investigation is ongoing, as the chief just mentioned, and arrests will be made. Arrests will be made for this incident. These are, by the way, not in order of importance as I go through them. Legislature. I think many people know that the hands of local government are tied when it comes to making ordinances or laws about matters with guns. The state legislature relishes their control over that issue in our state. And we pleaded with them from time to time. I'm just going to ask them for one thing, just one thing. Give us this simple tool of making a graduated penalty system for offenders of gun laws. So if you go to the Family Dollar store and you shoplift, every time you get arrested, the penalty goes up. There's some disincentive to shoplifting again. If you have an illegal gun or you break a gun state regulation, 1 time, 10 times, 100 times, it's the same menial offense. That's just wrong. That doesn't make any common sense, y'all. Members of the legislature, please give us something to work with. Number 4, continued enforcement of what laws are on the books. We've made numerous seizures of illegal guns just in the last week, not on the east side, but throughout the city. And our police department will continue to make those arrests. Not related to this particular incident, we're going to do that as well. But enforcing the laws that we have on the books. Promoting responsible gun ownership. Now this is a sad thing. Did you know that hundreds of guns that find their way out on the street and illegally used and used in crimes were stolen from unlocked cars? If you own a gun, be responsible. Secure that thing. Make sure it doesn't get in the hands of somebody that shouldn't have it. We will shut down unpermitted events. In the city of Charleston, if you have a gathering in a public space of more than 25 people, you're required to request a permit from the police department. Right, Chief? We will enforce that. Folks can have gatherings on their private property, but if you've got a gathering that spills out more than 25 people into a public right-of-way, you should have a police permit to have that gathering. If not, we're going to shut you down. We're going to review even traffic measures, Tyrone. Maybe South Street should be, we'll look at the parking, with the one-way status of it. Look at traffic in the east side and how that works and doesn't work. And could that lead to better police security and enforcement like we've done on Upper King Street? And lastly, although I'm open to all the suggestions our citizens and law enforcement team want to make, but we will review our own response to this incident last night and see what went wrong, what went right, how we can do a better job, as the chief said, how we can seek better incomes. So that's an 8-point plan. I didn't enumerate them all as I went. And I'm open for an easy 2 more if someone's got it, so we can make it a 10-point plan. So President Kennedy, when he closed his initial inaugural address, also made reference to the need for prayer, but that we pray for guidance so that God will lead us to the actions that we need to follow to make our community safer and a great place to live that we know Charleston is and can be. Without further ado, I'd like to call on either Reverend McLemore or Swinton to share a couple of words with us, maybe even a prayer, although we know we're going to do more than that. And then any Councilmember Seekings, would you like to make any remarks? Okay. Reverend, would you like to make any remarks?
As a person and as a pastor of Ebenezer, I grew up on the east side. I understand the challenges that exist in our community. And when I had the opportunity to return to the east side to serve as pastor of Ebenezer, I knew that there were challenges. And one of the challenges that we face in our community is gun violence. It is my prayer and it is my hope that we could come together as a community to solve this problem and to restore a sense of peace, a sense of respect for human life in our community that we love so dearly.
Thank you, sir. Not to put you on the spot, but Ms. Fields, as president of the Neighborhood Association, would you like to share any remarks? Yes, ma'am.
We at ECDC, our prayers and thoughts go out to the victims and hope and pray that we all could take and come together and work better together and show more love.
Thank you very much. Mr. Watson, would you like to share anything briefly?
briefly, but what I say, I don't want it to be brief. I want you to take it to heart. I want you to take it, the love that you have, the environment that we have here. Then I want us to have a conversation that goes on about our civility, about our inner integrity, our self-respect, of what we should be teaching our children by an example of who we are, because we are the greater teacher. I want this to be applied not just in the community, but the city, the school board. But that conversation cannot be that when we come to you, that you only see that we are citizens. Look at the good that we offer. Look at what you can plan for the future to help. Look at what we have and want to be able to walk about and do. Look at what we grew up. I grew up in this community. To know that this churchyard, that's a part of us. Because we as kids came and read every stone, knew every place, knew the citizens in the house, knew they would correct us. But how do we, the citizens today, put that back in place? Do you want to do it? But then open your heart. Use your heart hand to reach out and think of the thoughts that I tell you. The civility that we can teach them, the younger kids, from the day they're born, to know that we can help them to be a productive citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll open up for any questions from the media at this point.